Okay, everybody, hello. This is Juan Calillo from the Learning Center, the tutor for the Learning Center for Journalism 101 and 202. This meeting is pretty much, or workshop, excuse me, is pretty much going to be focused specifically on, like I mentioned in the posting, on Canvas, or that you got from the from Professor Stapleton. This meeting is going to specifically focus, or workshop's going to specifically focus on a public meeting, um, reporting on a public meeting. So, first of all, I guess we should go over a little bit what a public meeting is. Typically, meetings, and you'll have a lot of access to the type at ELAC. Would be meetings like ASU meeting, the monthly meeting or weekly meeting that they do. The ICC, the college, the club meetings that they have there. But they can also pertain to meetings like town hall meetings. They make sense when it comes to any kind of meetings for example, in your cities or in your neighborhoods. There will be meetings a mayoral or cabinet meeting, something like that, where they have a bunch of representatives, or representative meeting for your city, going over specific stuff that is going on or that may need to be passed in your neighborhood or in your cities. So knowing that now, some of the things that are important, and these are some things that are kind of new, I think, to when it comes to being a reporter. And the professor and I spoke about this recently as well. Um, there are a lot of things that previously you did not have access to that you have access to now, kind of right off the bat. For example, when it comes to specifically meetings here at ELAC, and even sometimes I can assume sometimes larger meetings, city meetings, citywide meetings, or countywide meetings. A lot of times you have now the ability to go to their website, go to their press section with the ASU meetings and the ICC meetings. A lot of times they will also give the following piece of information. They will give you an agenda. What is going to be talked about? What things are going to be voted on? What things are going to be focused on during the meeting? This is really important as a writer. You have this chance to kind of prep yourself, which is really important, I think, a lot now. You have a way of coming in with questions, with ideas for how you're going to write things, and this leads to kind of the next section here, where again, this is all very new comparative to what used to be kind of the norm, and journalistically. You can kind of pre-write some of the stuff that you are going to be looking at. Um, Sometimes these meetings have, with their agendas that are put out online. By the way, sorry, let me backtrack a minute here. A lot of the agendas and all these things, again, like I said, can be found online. Download it. You can go through them. The Both the ASU meetings, the ICC meetings, the district meetings, they have agendas that are posted on their websites. You can download them, go through them. A lot of these websites also, after meetings, will have the minutes. We'll have, not right after, like the same day, but within a day or two, we'll have minutes. We'll have um, a play-by-play kind of. That's what the minutes are. It is literally someone typing down almost all the information that is being said and spoken at the meeting. Um, so those agendas are really great for you to, again, like I mentioned, for one of the more new things, which is pre-writing. If there are agenda points that cover specific topics, for example, let's say there's going to be a very large very large vote on maybe municipal water changes in a city, or maybe they want to change the times that the ASU is open or accessible for students on campus. You can find that in the meeting, in the agenda. Go online, find the original times, find how often ASU is open, or for example, in the example of the city, find out what the original municipal water details are, and use that to write some stuff before you actually get to the meeting, so that when you get to the meeting, you have the answers to a lot of, or you have some way of really knowing what you're going to be talking about next in your article. So speaking of specifically, pardon me, specifically talking about of these agendas and this information that you can now get access to early on, you will have a list of names and titles handy right away. These agendas and the notes afterwards typically have all that information already set up for you. They will tell you who attended the meeting, what their title is, what their position is within the local government or student government or county government. So you have all that. You have access to that all right away. Now, we were just at JACC, the journalist convention slash competition kind of thing. One of the speeches that was given there, one of the workshops was on this, which was I'm incorporating a lot of the stuff that Professor Stapleton wanted me to incorporate some of the stuff that we learned there into this workshop as well. So at these meetings, there are various times where, again, you may not have the chance to have all their titles and all their as you're writing. So there's two things here. The professor mentioned that sometimes what you can do is if you take notes via computer or laptop at meetings, what you can do is have the names of everyone in the meeting already on a spreadsheet or on a Word doc, have their titles, have their names ready, and simply what you can do is, as someone is saying X, Y, and Z, if you find it interesting or something obviously that is noteworthy for your article, then you can go ahead and make sure to write down or copy that person's name, just copy and paste into your section that you are writing so that you don't have to kind of Google or look for it after the fact. Another technique, this is kind of another idea. This is kind of what I kind of have done in the past. I have written down people's names on a ledger or on the side of a page as I'm taking notes by hand, and I will number them 1 through whatever. And when I find information that number 7 on my list said, I will simply write it number 7, circle it, write down what that person said. So that way I can go back and say, oh, okay, who said this? Oh, it was Jim John. He said blah, blah, blah at the meeting. Or it was, Stephanie Sanchez. She said this at the, at the county meeting or at the, whatever, municipal meeting. These are all things that will make your writing experience that much better and more accurate. But also at the meeting itself, you will be free to kind of, really know what's going on and follow it kind of much more closely. Sorry about that. I'm going to drink of some water. Talking a lot here. And talking quite quickly, I suppose. Okay, so let's continue on here. Let me break down a couple other things that we kind of learned. So when you're looking at so one of the things I can tell you right off the bat that is pretty much in general, a generally good thing to know about meetings like this. Trying to quote every single thing that people say is very difficult and also not always great and the best way to do things. I kind of look at quotes as kind of how we've kind of learned over the semesters and time at Campus News. And I kind of see quotes as being like diamonds. You have to unless you're going to be like over extravagant and have tons of diamonds everywhere, typically you only really need 1 or 2 diamonds, even in engagement rings. It's typically just the 1 diamond. I'm not saying limit yourself to 1 quote. No, you have 2 or 3 really good and interesting, impactful quotes. Use them, but do not make a paragraph a quote, or use a quote that becomes a paragraph or 2 or 3. That is just lazy writing. You're just using that to kind of fill space when you could get the best part of that, a sentence, maybe 2, and paraphrase the rest. And that's where we come into the next section. But paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is really great. It lets you write in your own words and sometimes cobble together an even better, more streamlined explanation of A, B, and C of whatever you're going to be talking about. It's always good to paraphrase that information that can be confusing because it allows you to help you kind of clean it up and make it understandable. And make sure you find, like I said again, and this goes back to the quotes that I was talking about before. Quotes should be really important. Diamonds in the rough. You don't want to be quoting every single thing of a speaker or a person says. That's not important really, or isn't really something um, that will adding tons of quotes is not something that makes your article sound better. It is just going to become, you are just basically transcribing what happened at the meeting. That's not what we want to do. Again, you want to find um, you want to make sure that you find major news. And I think this is something, again, the speaker that the workshop at JACC talked about this as well. But this is something that you can find at almost any big event, and it's something that I tend to mention to writers when they go to things like, an ASU meeting, ICC meeting, the district board meetings, board trustees meetings, excuse me. Listen to everything that's being talked about. Listen to all the things that are being said, because it may be kind of a bland or kind of like by the numbers meeting where nothing really important happens, and your article can just be, hey, this, they talk about this, and that's it. But if you listen and you pay attention to what's being talked about, you may find your next story or your next two stories, because there are sometimes smaller things that are part of the meeting that you look at and you're like, oh, that's kind of important. How come they're not talking about that more? Obviously, because whatever they're talking about or they're trying to move on when it comes to a vote or when it comes to a delegation of monies or whatever, it's something they've already decided upon. And sometimes that is something that as journalists, we need to look at and say, okay, well, what was the thought process here? How important is this? Why is this happening? Why are we allowing this kind of stuff to be a part of this meeting? And first of all, something to be passed. So some of the things that they talked about at the JACC meeting that I wanted to kind of work in here as well are that you want to kind of contextualize things. You want to make sure you kind of make sure you explain where perspectives, where comments, where pieces of information are coming from which side. You don't want to just kind of like just throw it out there as general, hey, this is what was said. If one person on an issue said this and another person on the issue said the opposite, you want to be able to put both and make sure that they understand that these are two opposing points of view, and that they are obviously different, and that they are from the same issue but very different sides and opinions and perspectives. One of the main things, and this is again, like I said, adding things from this JACC kind of workshop. One of the main things to look for is, or to avoid, is info dumps. You don't want to write a 4 paragraphs back to back where you have a ton of information and it's just info, and you're not really kind of breaking it down or not really examining what it is that you're giving information about. Remember, to think about this as we talked about before in previous workshops, I believe, and just in general, if I've never said it before, or you've never heard this before in a workshop that I've given, we want to kind of talk about the fact that, or we want to focus on the fact that we have to, when we put together stuff, we're talking to a specific audience. If you're the LA Times, you're talking to your subscribers, Los Angelinos. Okay, so that's who you're looking at to talk to. Being that we're from ELAC, being that our paper is specifically for the students, faculty and staff as well, but directed a lot of that energy and writing for our students, we want to be able to write so that our students can first understand, secondly, be informed, and thirdly, get updated on what is happening. Sometimes they may know of a situation, but they may not know all of the moving pieces. That's what we're here for when we're writing our articles and we're doing that kind of thing. Okay. Just a couple more minutes here, guys. I don't want to have this workshop run long and just have all this information. Again, much like I said before, an information dump. Please, if you're watching this video later on, I would really encourage you guys to come in person to these workshops. I think the benefit is that we get to talk and we get to have questions about stuff that maybe maybe you are concerned of, or maybe you want to know about in these workshops. I would encourage you, if you're watching this on your Canvas, or if you're watching this on our Slack tutorial channel, please leave a comment behind and or leave a question behind, and I will try to answer them. Either I'll create another video or I'll simply answer them on the Canvas or on Slack. But yeah, I think interaction is always really important on these kinds of things, and not having it makes it a little bit more challenging. Let's see. So when it comes to statistics of fact or facts, make sure to paraphrase those. Those are important. Again, we talked about paraphrasing before, and we talked about the fact that we want to make sure that. Sorry about that. That's my phone. We want to make sure that we're paraphrasing stuff as much as possible. Again, quotes are really great. They're very important. They give life to your article, but paraphrasing and writing in our own words kind of, again, will make things, we're going to try to, kind of chop the fat and give just the information that we really need, but give it in a way people will understand. And just one more thing here from this JACC workshop. And this is something that I've often, I don't know if I maybe entirely agree with. This is, again, sometimes it's best to keep it plain and simple. So, the presenter mentioned that if you end on a quote, it should really be a good quote, a really good one. And then usually you would want to end in your own words. You wouldn't want to have to use a quote to end an article, especially this type. I don't know if I generally agree. I think quotes are great to end on. Again, I think if it's a good quote, it's good to end on. If it kind of is just half, maybe not great, it could be better, I would just simply dump the quote, go either paraphrase the information or find a way to write it in your own words. It's a lot better sometimes to not have to try and fix a quote to fit into your article. And remember, you're not trying to to write the next great American novel. You're trying to give information that is essential for your for the people who are reading your articles and reading the specific coverage. You can write as long as you want. Just make sure that you're getting the right amount of information and the best information out to your readers. I'm trying to think if there's any other additional things I'd like to mention when we're talking about covering some of these public meetings. One of the things I think I've done in the past is make sure that you when you go to the meeting, look at the schedule, look at the agenda, as well. If you know that certain people will be at the meeting or will be speaking, what I've done in the past is I will typically email them before the meeting to create a connection right away, and say, hey, you know what? And I think this again goes back to the beauty of being able to access these things online. A lot of the ASU meetings, when they're going to have them, you'll see their agenda pop up online as well, on their Instagram. I don't know if that's the same type of thing you'll see at the LA City or at the I don't know, Southgate City Hall, or at Long Beach City Hall or Pomona City Hall. I don't think they're going to have an Instagram where they post their agendas for their town hall meetings and stuff like that. But ELAC does, the ASU does. You can find the members of ASU, look up their information, find their emails, and again, very much like pre-writing, not pre-interview, but definitely create that intro kind of space. And say, hey, what? If I have any questions, can I contact you? Can I get back to you on some questions or whatnot? Again, if you have some concerns about questions about an item or whatever, you could send some questions from the beginning. or go to an ASU meeting and the meeting itself and wait for the time when you can ask questions. Um, Other than that, I don't really think there's very much more to cover. And if there was more to cover, again, please, if you have questions or something that maybe you'd like to know more about, or maybe something that you said, hey, he didn't mention this, or he didn't talk about this. Please post those questions under this video, on Canvas. If you are watching through a link on YouTube, post it on the YouTube. If you are watching it on Slack, in the tutorial channel, post there. It's best to ask questions so we have more more information out there. And I will always make the any kind of response, and I will if need be, I will ask the professor or ask fellow writers or editors on staff for their opinion on things, because I think being able to add more to the knowledge that you accrue from these kind of workshops and from just in general from us on staff is very, very important. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here. Thank you so much for just coming in and checking this out. And again, I hope to see you guys in the next workshop. That'll be really, really soon. I'm going to be doing workshops, I think, weekly now, and maybe on Thursdays and Saturdays. So the next workshop I'll be posting a lot sooner than this week. I'll be posting it on Tuesday. So please make every attempt to stop by and say hello. All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. Have a great day.